And it should be going live shortly. Waiting on YouTube.
Yeah, I've got it live on YouTube.
Yep, it's showing it. It's showing it live for me now too. And then Sportscaster. And let me, one moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure there probably isn't a whole lot of people here anyhow, but I'm just doing a little bit of setup. Or maybe I can't go into the chat thing. It should. It's not letting me. I guess not. So I will just send it to you via paste. There's that one on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you got live on YouTube already, so you don't need that. So on Twitter, I gave you the Sportscaster because we are live on Sportscaster and YouTube both at the same time. Welcome, everyone. I know we're still a little early, probably not a lot of people. I got a few people watching right now, but not a ton. Everybody knows 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. I do my live show every week, man. Sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't. This week, I decided, you know what? There are other fans of the NFL, even Colts fans that don't live in Indiana, don't live in the United States, don't live on the great American continent. They're all the way over there on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And with me today, I've got Harrison from UKColtsFans with me, man. Thanks for joining.
It's a pleasure, and what an introduction that was. Appreciate you for having me on. Like you said, we are around the world.
Yeah. We were just talking a little bit earlier about how, especially like the Colts, they don't get a lot of attention. We're a small market team, and they don't get a lot of attention in the United States, let alone worldwide. And I think the last time that we had a live game there was 3 or 4 years ago against Jacksonville. You said you weren't able to make that because something was going on, but give me a little history on how you became a fan of the Indianapolis Colts.
Believe it or not, it all came down to Madden on the Xbox 360. The demo was free. I got bored of playing FIFA football. Got annoyed with that game, so I thought I'm going to try this game. It only had 2 teams on it. The demo, it had the Packers and the Colts. Chose the Colts at a pure random just guess. I think it was because they had Peyton Manning. So their rating for attack offense was better than the Packers, so I chose them. And ever since then, they've been a massive love story because I just loved it ever since.
That's awesome. So, hey, Eagle season, thanks for joining the stream on YouTube. Appreciate you. Also, let's see, on Sportscaster, we got Bye Kawi and Desert Rover Laticore 44. Thank you for joining on Sportscaster. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching this live, please hit the like button, subscribe, follow, depending upon which platform it is, and share. That way this gets out to a little bit more people. I need your help, right, for exposure. So how closely, being that you're like 3,000 miles away or something, how closely are you able to follow the Indianapolis Colts news, especially during this off season when you're nowhere around? You follow Colts.com or social media. How do you go about doing that, following them?
Most of it is just Twitter, mainly. Like guys like you and other, podcasters and just like accounts like that from platforms like that. This season is how we mainly stay on top of it, because when you say like the media teams like the Cowboys or the Saints, when they're not playing, the big channels don't want to play it over here. It's always on the next day after it. So I've already watched it live stream NFL Game Pass like that on my phone, watching it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So it is hard. I know they are trying to push it over here, trying to sell it over here to make it more of a worldwide thing. But yeah, Twitter mainly, and just myself going on Google every other day, seeing what's happening. The Colts website.
Well, I don't know how much it is in. Well, wait a minute. You're in the UK, so you don't run the euro. You still go by pounds, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how many pounds it is to get NFL Game Pass, but I'm pretty sure outside the United States, if you have an NFL Game Pass off of NFL.com, you can catch any of the games live. So I'm not can't do that for me, which kind of sucks because I'm in the US and they don't have that.
Yeah.
But
but we still get blackout games. So if they're being shown on prime time or a different network to other than Sky Sports, which our Game Pass runs through, it's no chance of watching it. And it's not cheap for the Game Pass. It's
no.
I think it's like £40 a month or something like that, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you factor in Sky Sports Pass for just watching football and stuff like that, all this adds up to about nearly £200 for just trying to watch sports. So.
Yeah, I pay. I think it's about $100 a month or a year.
Yeah.
For the full season of Game Pass. But then again, I use like the videos and stuff that they have on there to break down film and stuff. So I actually get my money's worth rather than just 16 plus any playoff games. So I understand that. All right, so let's go ahead and get a little bit into some of the news that has happened, at least in this past week, because that's what I like to go over with first. A lot of news coming out. Ballard had an interview with Pat McAfee not long ago, and he said that Phillip Rivers has just been absolutely on fire, like accurate as heck during training camp. I think he gave him like an 89% accuracy so far, and that's accurate, right? A little bit different than what we're used to from Jacoby. Jacoby's accurate, but he has a problem with leading his receivers, depending upon how they're being covered and how quick they are and stuff like that. But Rivers has been around for a while. When they signed Rivers, now I did, forgive me, I did go to your channel on YouTube. I did check a little bit of your stuff, and you were on the what was there, the one of the Red Rifle, I believe, from the Bengals. You thought the Colts were going to grab, right?
Yeah,
way back in the day. So when they got Rivers and up to this point, what's your thoughts on Rivers being the starting quarterback for the Colts right now?
I'm not going to lie, I wasn't over the moon with it because it's a lot of money for a guy who's apparently over the hill, and he just wants to see out his years. So after that, I did my research on Phillip Rivers and who he actually is, because all I know him from is him knocking us out of many AFC Championship games. And I sort of got sick of seeing that. But when I found out he actually worked with Frank Reich before, I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I don't like the way he throws. It's not a pretty throw. It's wobbling like Manning would throw the perfect spiral, and so would Brady. But Rivers, it's wobbling all over the place. So I'm not a fan of that, but you got to give it to him. He can sling it, and he's got the passing yards to prove that. And there was that video. I don't know if you've seen it. It was just a clip of him. I think he missed a throw or something, and he was cursing himself. And to me, I love it. It shows the passion that this just isn't another paycheck for him. He wants to make a home in Indy and hopefully take us to a few playoff games, a good run. That's all I want from him, really, just a good run into a playoffs. And that's about it.
Well, I don't know if you seen the interview with him on why he has that specific throw style, but apparently his father was trying to get him to play football early on when he was
Yeah.
young, and his hand could not palm the football. So he
Alright.
had to rest it on the side of his hand and throw it
Yeah.
sling arm, sidearm. And he got so good with it that he just didn't adjust as he got older because he
Yeah.
just kept getting better and better throwing it that way. And I mean, it does look ugly, but there are advantages to throwing sidearm. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes. He does it a lot, right? And it's
Right.
hard. It is really hard to put your arms up and swat a ball down when you're not sure where the trajectory of the ball's coming from because he's throwing it sidearm, right?
Yeah.
You're used to putting your hand straight up in the air, and it's like over there now. What?
Yeah. But also, like, I didn't really know about Jacob Eason. You know, I think that's a pick that's gone way under the radar. So I watched a lot of his highlight reel, you could say, because that's all that we have, because we only have YouTube for college football.
Mm-hmm.
And the power he can throw it at. So if he can learn qualities what Philip Rivers has from Philip and Frank Reich, quarterback for the future. I'm looking forward to seeing him play, especially first team.
Yeah, I don't expect him to play this season.
No.
There are quite a bit of things about Jacob Eason that he really needs to work on. I did a film room breakdown on him, and he has, in my opinion, the most talented arm that came out of this past draft, even over Burrow, over Tua. But I mean, when I say talent, I mean he could drop the ball just about anywhere on the field on a dime, but he has to be standing still when he does it. And whenever he's moving to try to get away from pressure or something, his accuracy plummets dramatically. But so all of you, if you are watching this right now and you haven't seen that film room breakdown, you go ahead and go to my channel, go to my film room, scroll over till you see it. I did it right after the draft. So one of my favorite breakdowns that I've done. I enjoyed all three of the breakdowns from Pittman and Taylor as well. But I think Eason has the tools to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. He needs to have an open mind and learn from the starting quarterbacks, including Jacoby Brissett. And Frank Reich. Obviously, Frank Reich was a quarterback at 1.2, pretty darn good one too. But let's see here. Your thoughts. I don't know if you also noticed, but I don't know. A few weeks ago, Frank Reich said that he wanted to pencil in a few plays with Jacoby Brissett on the field. I think he said 5 to 7 a game. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you got to look at the start, towards the end of 2 seasons ago, and where he sort of filled in for Andrew when Andrew wasn't 100%. It was, all right, this guy's a good backup, but he's nothing else. And then the start of last season, it was fantastic, and we was going to win the Super Bowl that year, and it was all going well, and it was a fairy tale until that Pittsburgh game when he got injured. And he was just never the same after. So he has got the talent. It's just he's a confidence player. And let's be honest, our receiving core last year wasn't the best.
Especially off those injuries.
Yeah, Ty not being fit for half the season really did us in massively. So, and there was that unbelievable play. I can't remember who it was against, where he ran around in our own end zone for like 20 seconds before launching it and getting the first down. So yeah, Jacoby has the plays. He has the ability to make big plays. Unfortunately for him, it's just not consistent enough. So for Frank Reich saying and Chris Ballard saying we're going to give him 5-7 plays a game, it just keeps other teams guessing, even if they're a wildcat play maybe, because he has got the legs to move. We saw a little glimpse of it where Jacoby actually threw it to Andrew Luck one time and we got a first down. If we can replicate something like that and it just throws teams off, it's another weapon, and I'm all for it.
I don't see Philip Rivers lining up out wide though. He don't move that well. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fans that think that having Jacoby Brissett out there 5-7 plays a game is kind of a mistake. But like you said, give him a chance. Let them see what they come up with. You never know.
Yeah.
You might have Jacoby Brissett as a setback to where Rivers, you don't know who the ball's going to be snapped to, right? That kind of situation.
Right, yeah. And it's like, sorry, it was like everyone was laughing at Lamar Jackson, weren't they? And his style. Now that's the thing to do. Now teams want a running quarterback. So, and Quentin Nelson at fullback, Jacoby at halfback, and then Philip Rivers lining up as quarterback. Who knows?
Well, I mean, I don't think that we'll see Nelson lined up at fullback too much because we did pick up the first fullback the Colts have had in a long time in Roosevelt Nix. Was a former All-Pro. Not last year. Last year, I think that he had a little bit of a setback, which is why he's not a Pittsburgh Steeler anymore. But in the past, he was very, very good. So kind of interested in seeing how much playing time Nix will have because he's actually pretty decent catching the football out of the backfield as well.
Yeah.
He's kind of like an extra tight end on the field,
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, same as you said, it's the first proper all-and-out fullback that we've had in a while. And again, if that's another position where it's like the defenses are going, they're going to throw it to him out the backfield when actually max 20 yards up the field and we've launched one to him. Yeah, it's just another weapon.
Absolutely. A lot of different matchups, positional matchups, one-on-one matchups out there in training camp right now. Seeing a lot of videos of that off Twitter. I'm sure you've seen a ton of them. Quentin Nelson versus DeForest Buckner, even Ryan Kelly versus Buckner. I saw one today where it was Ryan Kelly versus Quentin Nelson, and I was like, what? That's weird. But also, I mean, you're seeing Michael Pittman Jr. up against Rock. You're seeing T.Y. up against Xavier Rhodes. You got your running back battles between Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor. Mack just blowing it up, catching the football in the backfield, which we haven't seen too much the last 3 years. What are some of these matchups that you're most interested in watching and keeping track of?
So I think everyone is interested in Mack and Taylor and how that's going to work. I don't know if you saw that picture of Jonathan Taylor that went around the internet, and he is a unit. He's a big guy. If he's running at me, I'm just getting out of the way. You can have the touchdown, mate. But I think there's going to be an interesting one, and I think it's not going to be publicised as much because we all know T.Y., if he's fit, is the number one receiver. That guy's unplayable on his best day. So looking at who's going to be number two between Paris Campbell and Pittman, that's the battle for me because we didn't get to see a lot of Paris Campbell last year because of injury, which was gutting because I've seen the speed of this guy playing for Ohio State. And I thought, we've got a fast receiver, a stature receiver. So to see the battle between them two who takes the second spot is going to be interesting.
Yeah, most of the reports that I'm seeing out of camp is not bad on Michael Pittman. It's just he's a rookie, right? And he's got his rookie mistakes. He's got that learning curve for the NFL, and he's still on that learning curve a little bit. Whereas with Paris Campbell, apparently now that he's healthy, he's, from what I'm understanding, has become one of Philip Rivers' favorite targets, and he's catching the ball and making big plays on a consistent basis. And I kind of expected that personally. I thought, man, if Campbell could just stay healthy with the way he, with his speed, and he's not a small, fast receiver. He's not like T.Y. or Hill for the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're like 5'10". He's a 6-foot receiver, over 200 pounds, and can run a 4.2, 40. And so when you get a guy that big catching footballs on the run from a quarterback that can lead you so that you don't have to slow down to catch the football or reach behind you to catch the football. Catch it out in front of you on a full sprint, running your route. Oh, man, that's going to be so dangerous. That's going to be really, really tough to defend. I think that that combination alone will, between him and T.Y. Hilton, if T.Y. can stay healthy, that alone will make this offense incredibly dangerous to go with that running game. So Pittman, obviously, big guy, like 6'5", 220 pounds, could go up and catch that 50-50 ball with strong hands and come down with it. But you don't rely on those games or those kind of catches on a consistent basis. If you have to rely on those kind of plays, you're losing the football game, right? You want the underneath kind of routes that are getting a lot of yards after catch stuff. Not trying to throw it downfield on a prayer all the time. So as soon as Pittman gets himself in sync with Rivers, this is a very underrated receiving core, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's because, like we said, most of them are rookies. Apart from I know Paris has had a year, but most of that year injured, so I'd say he's still a rookie in my eyes. And like you say, it's an unknown receiving core. I think that's why a lot of opposition fans and pundits are trying to talk it down, because it's unknown. We don't really know what it can do, especially with a new quarterback at the helm. So it's exciting, really, for Colts fans, I think. And now that we're becoming a smash mouth team, so we're going to run and run relentlessly with Taylor and Mack. And then if you find a way to stop that, you forgot about T.Y. Hilton, and he's scored 3 touchdowns on you. So for me, I think Colt fans should be excited, because a lot of, including myself, have written off the offense. I was like, right, this is time to rebuild, take it, get a couple of winning seasons, maybe rebuild and see where we are in 2-3 years. But Chris Ballard worked his magic again in the draft, and I'm ready to go. I'm saying, let's go for it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll take this quick time to say thank you, Paul and Broncos 19, Act Ventura, Blue Jaden, and thanks for the follow, Act Ventura, over on Sportscaster and over on YouTube. Stephen Benedict, what up? Marlon Mack being targeted, frankly, by Rivers and Camp. Yes, we talked about that earlier. And from the video that I'm seeing, he's doing a really good job of actually using his hands to catch the ball, not letting the ball actually hit him in the chest. So that is huge. I've said it 100 times over this past offseason. People are, well, Matt can't catch. Matt catches fine when you have a quarterback that can throw you the football, throw a catchable pass, right? Andrew Luck, when he was throwing Marlon Mack catchable passes, he was catching it and running with it, right? Run 25-yard down the sideline, touchdown kind of stuff. Jacoby Brissett throws a little bit too much of a rope when it's close, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to catch the football. Rivers, much like Luck, has a very catchable pass, especially when it's close by. That's why tight ends and running backs are targeted so much by Rivers. You don't have a problem targeting those guys. So I think Mack will have a huge year this year, not just running the football, but by catching it as well. Adds another dimension. Yes, it does. It adds a huge dimension. What do you think of Marlon Mack catching footballs rather than just running it?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with what you said. We've watched him for a couple of years now, and there's no surprise that he is a Pro Bowl All-American running back. You know what I mean? He gets you to the end zone. You can guarantee it. And I think I saw something on Twitter. One of the pundits said that he had a subpar season. I don't know if you've seen that. And everyone just was like, what? Are you mental? But, like you said, his catching has improved, and because in college he was heavily relied on run and not catching, and that's what running backs are in college. It's, we give you the ball, you're faster than everyone else, you go and score for us. And I think that's hard for a lot of running backs to break out of, and you see a lot of NFL teams taking years to develop that catching out the backfield. But in training camp it seems to work, so it should be nice to see that it actually works in actual live scrimmage. So still a bit going to hold back a bit, but I'm there's a little bit of optimism there, thinking, he's got this.
Yeah, the thing about Mac is what people don't realize, a lot of even Colts fans, it's hard to replace a running back like Marlon Mack because he's a complete running back. He does take it between the tackles. He can lower his shoulders. He gets good yards after contact. He knows how to pass block when he's called upon to do that. He does not fumble the football. All those carries he had last year didn't put the ball on the ground one time. He can catch the football. He's got moves upon moves, whether it's in tight spaces or open field, to make someone miss, right? He can sidestep. He could do a double sidestep. He did one of those against the Texans 2 years ago. Then last year we saw a double stiff arm on the same play where he just dropped two guys. And then we also saw a double spin move last year where he spun away from two guys going towards the end zone. Marlon Mack's got moves on top of moves no matter where he's at on the field. And he knows he's obviously can catch the football. Like I said, he can pass block. He doesn't fumble. He does everything that you want for a running back to do. And to sit there and just write him off on the season and say, excuse me, sorry, to say that, well, Jonathan Taylor's here, we don't need Marlon Mack anymore.
Yeah.
That's crazy talk. I love Jonathan Taylor. I like the top end that Taylor can bring, but Marlon's proven, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to write off someone that's already proven off the team. I'm personally, if Chris Ballard offered Marlon Mack a 3 or 4 year contract at $6 to $8 million a season, I would hope he took it. I would love to see him take that. You would have Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack on the same team for the next 4 years, and it would help keep both of them fresh. It'd help keep both of them at their peak, not only from game to game, but for the season. Towards the end of the season, they won't be as worn down and broken down. You'll get a lot better carries, a lot more fresh runs, better for playoffs. So I personally, I hope Marlon Mack balls out. I hope he gets a good contract and he stays with the Colts. I don't know if you saw my tweet earlier with Marlon Mack talking about Jonathan Taylor coming out. It kind of blew up a little bit on Twitter. I think it was about 50 retweets or something like that. And a lot of them were a lot of the retweets were comment retweets saying, this is Marlon Mack knowing that he won't be a Colt next year, that Jonathan Taylor's taking over his position. And I get that. That's what it looks like on the surface, and it very well could end up that way. But if you're a Colt fan, surely you're hoping that there's some way that Ballard, Reich, and Mack and his agent can surely find a way of keeping him on the Colts for at least a few more seasons.
Yeah, listen, it's Marlon Mack is a superstar. Everybody wants Marlon Mack on their team at running back, because like you say, he can do everything. And I don't think Jonathan Taylor's there to beat him out or take the spot. I think that's just a few toxic fans trying to stir up the Rhine, to get some heat on a tweet. So for me, I think them two guys, if we can get them working well together, is excellent. You don't want to get rid of Marlon Mack because he's going to come back playing for someone else. He's going to score 3 touchdowns against us. Because he has that mentality of, chip on the shoulder. I'm going to show you who Marlon Mack is. And if we can, the season's won in the late games. So games 14 to, I think there's going to be 17 games now, right?
No, there's still 16 games. There's just 7 positions in the playoffs right now.
Yeah. But them games like the last 4 or 5 games are where teams are tired. And if Marlon's been doing the most of the carrying and Jonathan Taylor's still fresh then, and then we've got a guy who's a power running back, he's just going to run over tired D lines. It's a win-win. So, like you say, everything at all costs to keep Marlon on the team for me.
Oh, yeah, I would. Yeah, I fully agree. I'm talking too much. Martin Leal says I'm talking too much. Well, this is kind of what the stream is about, is talking, my guy. Rivers' completion percentage to Eckler last year was 85%, Stephen Benedict says. Yeah, and that says a lot. I mean, especially with Frank Reich saying that, his completion percentages so far in training camp is 89%. That's unreal. Oh, my goodness. I hope he keeps that up. A lot of people worried about Rivers, and his 20 interceptions last year. But if you go back and you look at his stats over the past 16 seasons, any season that he had 18 or more interceptions, that following year ends up being a Pro Bowl or a All-Pro season that he's had. Yeah. You take that in consideration with the fact that he's got an offensive line, a great defense, a running game that he can lean on. Oh my goodness. I'm actually happy that Rivers is on the team, because now you got quarterbacks that could sit behind him. And because I don't expect Rivers to be on the team more than 2 years. If he's here this year, they get to the playoffs. If they get to the playoffs, do some noise, or even, possibly win a Super Bowl, he might get re-signed for another year. But I don't see him more than 2 years probably. And anyone on the team after that, they can sit there and watch how he throws, see how he, learn from him. It doesn't matter if it's Jacoby Brissett, Jacob Eason, some new guy that they pick up off the street, or another draft pick. I'm intentionally leaving out Chad Kelly, guys, because I don't think he's going to be on the team shortly. There's a lot of Chad Kelly lovers out there, but let's face it, the Colts did not spend a 4th-round pick on a quarterback to, drop him to keep Chad Kelly. I mean, it's just it didn't happen. But all right, so we talked quite a bit about the offense. Is there anything about the defense that has you a little excited and you want to keep an eye on?
A little excited. Nobody wants to face our defense. Nobody. When it was last year against the Texans and Darius Leonard, I think he put Kenny Stills 10 feet under with that stiff arm. Wow. Everyone sort of sat up in the chairs and went, okay, that's a linebacker doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know about Darius, but everyone's calling it our 1st-round pick, picking up DeForest Buckner from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That guy. Whew, I've been watching it to get excited about it, but he can move and he just swims past people so easily.
Mm-hmm.
There's just loads of. There's so much I can't get out what I want to say, because there's so many pieces to the defense which all have to click to work. And I think Malik Hooker staying fit is a massive part of that. Like in that game against the Chargers last year, the very close one, he gets that one-handed interception. That's what he can bring to the table. And he's been on our team 3-4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can stay fit, experience is massive. But you look at like Justin Houston and DeForest Buckner, there's whispers going around it's the new 98-99 combo. Freeney and Mathis come in, which I hope it is. Everyone does. But, you look at our defense and Darius Leonard instantly, apparently the worst draft pick ever. You've got snubbed for the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. And this guy, and even Madden have given a rating of like 85. And this guy's like, that's just adding fire to the fuel. So for me, Darius takes it all away. And I hope he runs with it. And I hope he keeps running with it for another 10 years.
You talk about Houston and Buckner being the 98, 99, or well, it'd be 98, 93. Freeney was number 93. But either way, on the other end, I think pass rush wise, opposite of Houston on obvious passing downs, I think as long as Kamoko Toure is healthy, that kid is going to explode this season. I mean, through the first 5 weeks last year before he got his injury and finished off and had season-ending IR surgery, he led all pass rushers with quarterback pressure percentage. Like when it comes to snaps, for every snap he took, he got to the quarterback, not necessarily sacked him, but put pressure on the quarterback more than anyone else in the NFL up to the point where he got hurt. And honestly, he got held a ton of times because he should have had at least 5 sacks before he got hurt that season. I did, again, another film room breakdown that I did on him, went through and was just watching play after play after play. And I was like, oh my God, this dude, one-on-one, Kamoko Toure is so dangerous. He's got so much bend. He's so fast. He uses his arms so well. His hand fighting with offensive linemen to keep their hands off of him so that he could blow right by him. It's just unbelievable. And he gets a lot of that because Robert Mathis has been working with him the last couple seasons, working with his pass rush skills. I think he's going to be a huge benefit. Danico Autry is, I believe, going to end up being the other defensive end on your first and second downs, your possible run downs, which is a big bonus. This front seven for the Colts is just going to be so scary because you got Grover Stewart, who doesn't, he's the basically nose tackle of the line. He's used to getting all the double teams, but he won't have to worry about those double teams this year because beside him is DeForest Buckner. And that man, you have to double team because if you don't, he's going to take the game over. And then, so Stewart's going to have a better year. And then, as you talked about Darius Leonard, well, don't forget, we got Bobby Okereke and Anthony Walker, who are Anthony Walker's underrated even by Colts fans. All right. Anthony Walker is a great linebacker, does a great job at doing just about every. Darius wouldn't be Darius today if it wasn't for Anthony Walker because of what he has taught him, showed him how to break the film down, of what to look for, how to attack people and runs and things of that nature. So, Anthony Walker is a coach on the field. So, I think this front seven, legitimately, I think the Indianapolis Colts could have a top 5 run defense this year just because of how big and fast they are up front with the speed and tackling ability sitting at the linebacker position. It's good. It's actually got me a little – I wish we could play Baltimore earlier on because I'd like to see him against that number 1 rushing attack of the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. But with COVID and stuff, not being able to have a proper preseason and stuff like that, they're going to need some time to kind of sync with each other. So, that's fine. Week 9, we'll wait till week 9, I guess, before we play them. What's a game that you're looking forward to seeing this season?
Super Bowl? Too early to say.
It's never too early to say that.
I haven't really thought about games I'm looking forward to because hopefully I'm just looking forward to a season. Just from a football fan point of view, I just want a season. I want to get going now. It feels like it's been. It's not, but it feels like it's been forever since we last played the game. So, but yeah, Baltimore will be a good one, and I don't know why this game sticks out, but Chicago. Just for it's nothing like out of the Colts history or anything like that. I just like that team. It's like I have a soft spot for him, especially when Chuck went there, didn't he, as their defensive coordinator. So yeah, I think that'll be a good matchup, and they're a tough team. No matter what anyone says, Chicago are a tough team. They always have been. They always will be. So for me, that'd be good to see 2 smash mouth teams going at it, and arguably whoever's stronger is going to come out on top, I think. So, but yeah, just looking forward to the season in general because it feels like so long since we've had normality. I just want to watch some football.
Yep. Martin Leals asks, should we draft a tight end next year? And that's an interesting question. That's getting a little ahead of yourself, but at the same time, I think we just about have to, don't we? I mean, Jack Doyle's getting up there. He's over 30 now, and Trey Burton's not exactly young. We don't know what we're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
And Mo Alley Cox, great blocker. I think he could be utilized a little bit more in the pass, but I think the Colts could probably find a nice tight end in the draft at some point. Mark Patton, huge fan. Finally got a chance to watch live. Always hit the like button. Appreciate you, Mark. Appreciate you. Some say Okereke could be better than Leonard, more athletic. Steven says, if Okereke became better than Darius Leonard, there's not a team in the NFL that would want to play against. They just bye week. We're not playing this week. No. Could you imagine having two Darius Leonards on? Oh my goodness. The Browns game could be tough. I agree. It very well could be because the Browns are, they got a ton of talent. It's their own personality, their own intermingling personality that really keeps them out of sync and unable to capitalize on their own talent.
Yeah.
When you said the Bears, that is a game that I am actually watching because their defense is freaking monster, right? I mean, they got a monster defense. I think the Colts are going to eat them alive. Our defense versus their offense, though, because I went into their offensive line, like dove into their offensive line and looked at the Bears' offensive line, and they're awful at pass protection. I mean, awful. So it doesn't matter if it's Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles at quarterback. They're going to be running for their lives, I think, against this Colts front seven. But that defense could give the Colts offense a bit of a hissy fit, right? I think they really could. Vollert could be underrated. He says new coach looks good in Cleveland. Yeah, I agree. They're not He's got his team not talking smack on social media, so that's a plus right there for Cleveland because they've been doing that quite a bit. All right. Let's see. Anything over on Sportscaster? Nothing new yet. Don't forget, if you guys are watching live, please don't forget, hit that like button, hit the share. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much. What else we want to talk about, my guy?
I just wanted to mention Cleveland. The problem is with Cleveland is they're a team, whichever way they're going, if they're going up or down, they love to follow it. And that, while that's fun for social media and it's a good laugh in that can get pretty nasty, especially when you're in a downward spiral. They took on OBJ, and when he wasn't getting 100% of the throws, he's throwing a hissy fit. And like you said, they've got the new coach, and he's got them, he's stopped them talking trash and social media and biting things like they were before. But they like to believe we're Cleveland, we're different to everyone else, we're this, we're that. And it's like, hold on a minute, build yourself up before you walk before you can run. And I think that's where they're always going to fall down. They're still going a couple of decent runs here and there, but ultimately it's a team game. And you see it with the Colts when the team gels, it's an unplayable team. And for me, Cleveland just don't. They have too many superstars and not enough team players.
With Cleveland, it's very simple to see the difference between what this team can do when they're gelling together and working with each other and meshing well, as opposed to being, all you got to do is look at the two games they played against the Ravens last year.
Yeah.
In December against the Ravens, when they weren't meshing well with each other and they were all me, and that kind of stuff, the Ravens beat them 31-15. Then you go in late September of last year, and the Browns were fresh out of camp, and they were high and working well with each other and just meshing real good. They blew the Ravens out 40-25. And this is the Ravens, the team that 13-3 last year or something like that. I mean, they were a powerhouse, and the Browns blew them out of the water because they were working well with each other. So it really, as you say, yeah, it really depends on which Browns team the Colts face. That's why it's so hard. You can't bet on that game. All right, because you don't know what Browns team's going to come at you. Is it going to be last year's Jets or last year's Kansas City Chiefs? You know, I mean, that's the difference basically in the type of game that you'll be playing against.
Yeah.
Steven says 14-2. Oh, that's what they went, 14-2. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
And one of those games was a blowout by the Browns.
Yeah. That shows when they're working well, they can be a good team. And you know, I know he's a bit of a circus, but I like Baker Mayfield. I think he's got that dog personality where he wants to own the field, and you see it with some of our players like Leonard and that. The dogs, they want to win, they want to be the alpha. And like we said, if they can gel, fantastic. But it just seems they always start stumbling. The hype falls off really quickly. But never write any team off, because it is a fantastic sport and anything can happen. You know, you look at us going from 1-5 to the playoffs, and you know, it was 1-5, and everyone's like, we're tanking again, another suffer-up campaign, all that, and it wasn't. We just turned it around, and that's how it's. You know, things move fast in the NFL, and that's how quickly things can change for teams.
Oh yeah, especially you kind of. I think that is why Chris Ballard built the team the way he has. It's not just the talent that he got, right? He's got certain character players that he has in the locker room that, you know, they have a positive attitude and they rub off well on others. Quentin Nelson, yes, he is quite possibly the best guard in the NFL, but it's that attitude he brings, the play that he has that rubs off on other people. I mean, obviously a wide receiver wants more catches. A running back wants to carry the ball more, but they will take less than that. They will step off to the side and say, you know what? If it means I don't catch a ball this game, means that we're going to win. Fine, let's win, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of players that Chris Ballard's been grabbing out of the draft. I mean, for goodness sake, Marlon Mack talking about JT, you know, the draft on him. He's like, he's a great running back. I'm all about team play, right? Let's go out there and kick some butt, right? Heck yeah, man. I love that kind of attitude from the players. Now, obviously, Jacoby Brissett was probably really, really upset when he heard, oh, by the way, Phillip Rivers has your job now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it came out, but he's still going to play his butt off. Yeah. I mean, when he's called upon, he's going to play. He's going to play hard. He's not going to throw a hissy fit, you know, because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. And I'd be more concerned if he wasn't worried. You know, everyone wants to be the quarterback. Everybody wants to be the starting quarterback. So if Jacoby Brissett come out and he was like, oh yeah, Phillip Rivers can have it, I'm not bothered, then that's when I say, oh, we've got a problem here. But where he's like, you know, he's probably not said it publicly, but inside he's probably like, well, hold on a minute, that's my job. Maybe that's going to start a bit of fire in him, and maybe he's going to kick on. What we've all wanted to see for the last year is him kick on, and this might inspire the competition's good. You want competition at all levels because that keeps your players at the best. So I don't think Jacoby will start come the season, but if that keeps Phillip Rivers at his best and that keeps Jacoby keeping pushing for that spot, you know, that's where I'm looking. So I'm, you know, let him be worried, because we talk about our main players like Darius and stuff like that. If they're not worried, they're going to slack and they're going to lay off and be like, oh, this place is mine. I don't have to fight for this. So it took a lot for us to build that. team and that atmosphere up from the days of Ryan Grigson, he who shall not be named. Never seen in Indiana again, but it's taken a lot for Chris Ballard to do that, and I think we're generally seeing we have a talented GM, which is nice.
Absolutely. Stephen Bennett says, what if Xavier Rhodes doesn't pan out? Could that be our weakest position? Now, to me, I have a lot more faith in Xavier Rhodes than probably a lot of people do. I've seen what this kid can do. Even the last 2 seasons when they were considered down years for him, when he was healthy, he was balling out, right?
Yeah.
It's just when he started getting like a core injury or a hamstring pull, he rolled his ankle, stuff that cornerbacks need that speed and agility to play their position, and yet they still, the Vikings had him out there playing hurt on an injury that affects his position, and that's why he looked bad. I don't think the Colts will do that. If he pulls a hamstring or rolls an ankle, I think they'll pull him out and let him heal up fully before bringing him back out, because TJ Carey can play.
Yeah.
Okay. TJ Carey can come in and play. Obviously you want Kenny Moore in your slot. You want Rockison out there on the other side. We have another guy, that safety we just drafted. I believe it was in the 4th round. He's hurt right now, but they're talking about possibly him coming back soon. Even though he's a safety and a free safety, he played cornerback in college as well. So that's also someone else that could step in if needed.
Yeah.
If later on Xavier starts to get hurt. I honestly, even with all the guys in our secondary, Malik Hooker being back there as well, Kari Willis being beside him at the strong safety position, the cornerback group, the defensive back group as a whole might be our weakest position on defense, and that's a scary thought because I don't think that they're a bad unit. I think they're an above average unit right now.
Yeah, and Xavier, we've all seen what he can do. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. We all know he is a Pro Bowler. He is an MVP defensive wise when he's at his best. He's quarterbacks don't want to throw his way when he's at his best. If he gets injured, and it was annoying because we did get a burn, especially in the later half of the season last year. Our guys, rookies, just got tired. And when you get tired, you get lazy in your reading, or somebody else has got that. I'm okay. I don't have to go an extra step back. So I think, again, like we said earlier about the character of players, Chris Barr's looked at Xavier and gone, he's a great player, but it's not just that he brings to the defense. So even when he is injured, I'd fully expect him to be down there saying to the younger guys, look, instead of opening up your hips, just keep it square for one step longer and then come in. So it is scary that we are potentially, that is our weak spot, but it's also more about what else he brings around him rather than just the player. So area to improve, but also he's a guy who brings more than just Xavier Rhodes. He brings a personality, he brings leadership, which I think has been lacking. Not massively, but we know how teams train. Cornerbacks all go over to one coach, linebackers all over to one, and then they're in the little groups from there. And I think to have someone like Xavier who can be on that level with, Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner, it gives a real presence about the defensive locker room. So hopefully it's more that what I see coming.
Agreed. I was looking at our cornerback room, and oh my gosh, outside of TJ Carey and Xavier Rhodes, talk about youth. Rocky Sin in his 2nd year, Traymon Smith in his 3rd year, Isaiah Rodgers, the rookie.
Yeah.
Travis Reed is an undrafted free agent rookie. Jackson Porter is in his 2nd year. Lafayette Pitts is in his 3rd year. And of course, Kenny Moore is now in his 4th year. So a lot of youth there. If Xavier or TJ went down on an IR, yes, I would have to agree with Steven that we would probably pick up an extra cornerback. You got to remember, Ballard and his scout team has always got guys like a board out there that are already out there, and he knows who's available and who he could go and grab if he needs to. So I don't think that they'll do too much moving a lot in the cornerback position unless someone goes down with an injury.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
So.
I got coffee here, but I've been drinking way too much of that today, and I'm
getting the fakes about it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, don't forget, guys. I see quite a few of you watching live. Please don't forget, hit that like button. Share, subscribe. Appreciate it. Don't forget to go to Twitter and Facebook and give this guy a follow. His links to where you can find him is in the description below the video here on YouTube.
Appreciate it.
All right.
I was gonna touch on something, and it's just about Phillip Rivers. And I know a lot of you know, we said the 20 interceptions, but now Phillip Rivers isn't now playing behind the Chargers O-line. He's playing behind, which I'm sure most fans would agree is one of, if not the best O-lines out there. You know, Anthony Costanzo, Ryan Kelly, Nelson, and more. And I think there's only one video that Phillip Rivers has got in his mind, and it was in the Chargers game. And I can't remember who was rushing, but they tried spinning on Quentin Nelson, and Quentin Nelson just pancaked him to the deck, and it's, you know, it sent shivers through your spine because you feel the impact hitting him. And that's the only video Rivers is watching. He's not watching tape. He's not watching film. He's seeing that and he's thinking, oh, I can get out the sun lounger back here and have a beer while I throw it. Got nothing to worry about. And that's, you know, that's been playing on my mind. Like,
that's funny that you mentioned.
Now he's got these guys protecting him. This is a different house.
Oh yeah, that play was actually Melvin Ingram, and Quentin Nelson was doing. It was an interview, and they was specifically asked about that play. I think it was by Brian Baldinger, and he asked him about that play, and he said it's funny because I sat there and studied film on him, and I seen that when this specific thing happens, he'll do a spin move. And when I saw him specifically do that, and I didn't have anyone directly in front of me, I just took the chance and went over there and put one on him, and it was just perfect timing. And it was perfect timing. He laid him out like nobody's business. Oh my goodness, it was like a sack of potatoes laid out for something. Oh, good Lord. But I'll tell you what, he's not the only really good offensive. I mean, Ryan Kelly. Yeah, I think Ryan Kelly should be getting his extension anytime. All right,
I hope he does,
because he's playing on his 5th-year option right now. Yeah. He's been asked about it. He said him and not him, but his agent and the Colts have been, you know, interacting with it and talking about it. He'd like to get it done, obviously, so that it could just be off his chest because he wants to be a Colt for life. Who doesn't want to be a Colt for life? You don't come into the Indianapolis Colts and go, no, I just want to be here a year or two, make some money, and get the hell out. You know, I mean, no, they're going to say they want to be here for life, obviously, because you want long-term financial stability. And Ballard has proven that if you play well for him, he will reward you with that long-term financial stability.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to hear the news that Ryan Kelly gets extended. So let's see here. Is there anyone that's an underdog right now that you might be rooting for a little bit? Someone who might not be a starter at this point, but you're like, man, I hope he gets his fair shake.
You said his name earlier, Isaiah Rodgers. Wow, what? And I think at the start, I think the first year of his career, it might be like on the special teams, because the hit power of this guy. Now, this guy, you talk about freight trains and stuff and how they go through people. This guy doesn't just go through him; he puts them into the ground. And for a cornerback to do that, I was watching his stuff on YouTube, his videos, his highlights on YouTube. I was saying to a friend, like, this guy's a cornerback. Like, this guy hits hard. So he's one of them who I'd love to see in the team. And also Jacob Eason, like we say, unknown. He's got the arm power, but does he have the NFL brain to play at this level? And there's two quarterbacks in front of him. I also want him to do well, and I want to see him playing for us, because I like it. I like his play. Like you said, he can drop it into a basket. And they're the two guys who I think I want to see them Colts for the next 5-6 years at least.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see. Well, I mean, Isaiah Rodgers is speed, right? I mean, he's got a ton of speed. There's a lot of, I don't know, a while back I posted a tweet asking, I would love to see a race with the 5 fastest Colts, 40-yard race, and I was like, who do you think would win? And there was obviously Paris Campbell's name came up, T.Y. Hilton's name came up, but Isaiah Rodgers, Naheem Hines, their name came up too. People don't realize how quick these guys are. I mean, so obviously the only problem with Isaiah Rodgers is he's kind of small, right? And Ballard, Eberflus, Reich, they like the big, tall, long-armed corners on your outside. They want to be able to match up well with those big number one receivers. Rodgers could be an excellent fourth cornerback, especially if you're in like a dime formation right now, or let's say Kenny Moore goes down, you need someone in there to cover a nickel. Sure, I could see that. I just
want to say, you talk about Colts players who are small in stature. There's only one who comes to mind. And if Isaiah Rodgers can do what he did, I'm sure Colts fans, we'll all be happy. But yeah, I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. You will see it over here, even with the football team. Certain managers like taller players to cross the ball into the box, and some players who are smaller to play the quick passes and run around people. So I know what you mean. But small players who play in the Colts uniform tend to leave a good impression.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping. What kind of record you got? What do you think the Colts will end up being by the end of the season?
It's on a knife edge. It really is. I think we're winning the division. I think it's going to be a tight division. I think no team is going to want to come to the AFC South next year. No team. It's apart from playing the Jags, obviously, but no, it's going to be a hard division, especially on the road, to come and beat teams in the AFC South. But looking at it with all my optimism, T.Y. is going to stay fit. Phillip Rivers is going to throw. Amount of touchdowns. I think 12-4 is not out of the picture. A good playoff run.
That's awesome, because I have said that for the last 2 months, that if the Colts can stay healthy, if their wide receivers can stay healthy relatively, I mean, you're going to have injuries, right? But you don't want to see your top 3 guys at a position get hurt for the season, right? You don't want to see T.Y. Hilton down for more than half the season. You don't want to see Paris Campbell, go out and only play like 6 games. And then obviously the guy you sign in the offseason to be your number 2 gets hurt on the first play of the season. So, your top 3 players of that position group was hurt for most of the year last year. You don't want to see stuff like that.
No.
but stay relatively healthy. I've got them going 12-4. I've got them going. I mean, I think that, and yes, winning the division. But it's funny because I think there could be 3 teams coming out of this division into the playoffs, which is very interesting. You say it's a tight division outside of Jacksonville, which I agree, especially with the way nobody wants to play for Jacksonville and Doug Marrone right now. I mean, Yannick, everybody's waiting to see what happens to Yannick Ngakoue if he's traded somewhere, because he says he won't play it down for him. But the Titans, obviously, they're 9-7 every stinking year. And last 3 years, they've been 9-7. And then, of course, last year, they took down the Patriots. They took down the Baltimore Ravens, 2 teams that everyone expected besides Kansas City, and heck, they beat Kansas City in the regular season last year. So Houston, obviously, they're division winners from last year. I think they have a chance, even without DeAndre Hopkins, because they brought in other receivers.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't have possibly the best receiver in the NFL. I understand that hurts your team. I get that. You always want the best at somebody on the position on your team. But when you go out, you get Randall Cobb to go with Randall Cobb and Brandon Cooks, to go with Kenny Stills and Fuller. He's got 4 good weapons now at wide receiver. If they can stay relatively healthy, Watson now has a plethora of wide receivers he can throw to now, rather than just sit on top of Hopkins and just throw to him whenever he thinks he might be open at some point. So watch out. I'm telling you guys, I think Bill O'Brien might be understanding a little bit more of what he's doing than what a lot of NFL fans are thinking. Because I think what he did was he went out and he wanted to be more like Kansas City, lots of receivers to throw to, lots of speed on the field. So, but Jacksonville's terrible. Titans doing well. Texans, I think, will do pretty decent. I think you'll have a 12-4 for the Colts. I think the Texans and Titans will probably, one of the teams will be 9-7. One of the teams might be 10-6 or 8-8, just depending, but somewhere in that general vicinity, which has a chance. I mean, with 7 playoff teams now, you can legitimately have, I think the Colts might be, or the AFC South might be the best division right now, even with how terrible Jacksonville is, being that they have 3 teams that I believe all 3 of them can end up being above 500 by the end of the season.
You look at, for many years, and it took me a while to learn this, especially as a new fan, the AFC South was not a good division, was not a competitive division, was not good. And it was, a lot of people's like, oh, the Colts are good, but they're coming out of the AFC South, so are they really that good? Now the tables have sort of turned. And I think last year there was 2 teams from the AFC South, and the year before there was 2 teams from the AFC South in the playoffs. So now all of a sudden, everyone's going, well, actually, we don't want to go to them teams on the road anymore. You can have them. So, like we've said, I fancy our chances, especially on the home games. And teams are not going to like coming down to Indianapolis, because we're gonna smash them in the mouth.
Yeah, no team wants to play a smash mouth team.
No.
This is how this period. Let's see. Stephen Benedict says he thinks the AFC North is a better division with the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns, and it's possible. But I'm not sold on the Steelers or the Browns. Like you said, what Browns team are we going to get? Right?
Yeah.
Are they going to be that 8-8 team or 7-9 team that we saw from last year, or are we going to get someone that could win 9-10 games?
Yeah.
I don't know. And when it comes to Pittsburgh, yes, they have a very fast, opportunistic defense.
Yeah.
But I need to know what we're getting out of Ben Roethlisberger. You know, he's getting up there in age. He's coming back from injury. We don't know what we're getting out of him.
Yeah. And, it goes to say you don't write off Ben Roethlisberger. That's quarterback. And Pittsburgh, you don't want to be going into Pittsburgh and playing them, especially evening, nighttime games or, Monday games. You don't want to be playing Pittsburgh because they're a hard team, like we say about the defense. But Big Ben just doesn't, say to me that he's a winning person at the minute. And you could clip this because it's probably going to prove me wrong and they're probably going to go on in my playoff run and make me look stupid. But it's one of them. They're a bit like Cleveland. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers of a couple of years ago going to turn up, or the ones of last year's where there was a bit? I know, they beat us, but they weren't a great team in that game, and I still had chances to beat them, and arguably should have. But they're a bit, are they going to turn up, or is Ben Roethlisberger going to go down with an injury in the third game of the season, and they're stuck for a quarterback again?
Yep. The only thing with Ben is if he does play, Ben plays the Colts, or at least historically, Ben's played the Colts so well. I mean, I think he's thrown 500 yards in a game against the Colts once.
Yeah.
Just destroyed a something like 40-something to 10 or something like that. It was awful. So, I think the Steelers' defense was good, but I mean, you got to remember last year when the Colts played them, right up until Brissett got hurt, the Colts was beating them. The Colts were in charge of that game. They were handling themselves perfectly fine, and then Brissett got hurt, and that's when the game started going downhill. So, I just, now granted, we didn't play against Big Ben, so, but then again, we didn't have all the players that we didn't have Darius Leonard that game.
Yeah.
He was on that whole concussion protocol thing where he missed 3 weeks with concussion protocol, including we didn't have him during the Kansas City game either, Darius Leonard. And yet somehow we held Patrick Mahomes to 13 points.
Yeah.
13
we were still thinking about that playoff game. And I think he was like, okay, you embarrassed us, because it was embarrassing, the playoffs. I was watching with my eyes closed for half of it, getting me head into some Domino's pizza, but it was like, oh God. And then it came to this season, and we was like, well, actually, no, you may be the Chiefs, and you may be Patrick Mahomes, but we're the Colts, and we're going to play our game. And when we got them into our game, we beat them. It's just run the damn ball.
Stop us from running the rock down your throat.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't? Fine. Then we're going to continue to run the ball down the throat.
Yeah.
So you think that, okay, Steven says, fine, we beat the Steelers 13-3. No, I think I actually have the Colts losing to the Steelers this year. But only because we've had bad history with the Steelers, you know. There's not a game on this list that I don't think the Colts can't win. I think the Steelers is the one that scares me the most just because of the history. I have the Colts losing to the Ravens just because I don't want to look like a homer. But I honestly think the Colts have the defense to slow down Lamar Jackson's run game and that RPO because of their front line and the speed we have at linebacker.
Yeah.
And we could force him to beat us through the air. And I think that the weakness of the Ravens is their run defense. And the Colts obviously can run the shit out of the ball. So, you know, I think the Colts have what it takes to beat the Ravens. I think they have what it takes to beat the Steelers. Any team. Cleveland scares me, and that's only if they're all on the same page and working well together.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of flack for this. I have us beating them just because we should. But Matt Stafford and the Lions scares me only because the Lions went out and got Swift for running back behind Stafford and went out and got a couple offensive linemen in the draft and an offensive lineman during free agency. They're actually putting weapons around Matt Stafford now. For the first time in history, the Lions are trying to build around their star player. I mean, that's the reason why Barry Sanders retired early. It's the reason why Megatron retired early, was because the Lions were known for not building around their primary pieces. And this year they're starting to do that. And so that could make Matt Stafford a pretty dangerous quarterback. So that kind of scares me a little bit. Obviously, the Titans, Derrick Henry runs hard. And unless the Colts learn how to tackle low, he's going to run over our light, fast linebackers. I think that, our linebackers need to hit low, wrap up around the legs, make sure that they get knocked over. Oh, yes. Steven says the Ravens picked up Calais Campbell. That is a fact. And Calais Campbell is a beast. He always plays the Colts really well right up the middle on that defensive tackle front. I forgot about that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, because there's the Ravens also lost a few pieces. So we'll see what happens. Everyone watching, please don't forget, hit the like button, share, subscribe, all that. I think we've been on here more than long enough, going on almost an hour and a half now. Sorry for holding you up for so long there.
Love it. Enjoy this. It's brilliant. It really is.
I really appreciate you being here. Like I said, I have guests on occasionally, but it's great to have a guest from across the pond. It's something that I'd like to have more of in the future.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell people where they can find you and your sites and stuff that they can follow you on.
Yeah. We're on Twitter. Just search UK Colt Fans. That'll come up, and you can find, because we're an online magazine, you'll find all the guys if you search that. Facebook, the same, UK Colt Fans, and on YouTube we have that as well. I'm sure if you Google it and type it in, you will find our website, and it's just a magazine for everyone to read. It's just the articles like we've been bringing up today, but in writing. So yeah, just UK Colt Fans anywhere you want, come and find us.
So make sure you at least get on Facebook, give them a like on their page, and definitely check out their Twitter at UK Colts Fans, because I have, and if I have, you should as well, because anyone I follow, you should follow, because I follow people who follow the Colts. Just saying. Just saying. All right. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see everybody again next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know who will be with me. If someone will be with me, I'm sure I will have somebody. I don't know. But until next time, as usual, have a good one.